It's time for the Houston Astros to face the Kansas City Royals. It will be an epic matchup of a 13 and 18 Houston Astros that have a 6.5 game lead in the AL West, and the Royals are 16 and 33. They are last in the AL Central. They are 12 games behind the Minnesota Twins. Does that mean the Astros need to go ahead and just look past the Royals? No, the Royals are still a up and coming ball club, and we'll see what happens in this series. But we got a lot to talk about on this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast that starts now.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Talks Stros. Find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Make sure that you make us your first listen. Whether it's on YouTube, go ahead and just go to YouTube, search Locked On Astros. Just go and press that little red button. It's really easy. A 2-year-old could do it. I mean, if they can type in Locked On Astros. But go ahead and do that, and go in on your way to work, on your way home from work, or if you're off for summer like most of us teachers are, just go and listen to us while you're having your favorite adult beverage, and just go and listen to us on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go and check out the Locked On Astros podcast. So we go into KC. I know my friend Scott, he's from Houston, but he always loves to go to, he lives in Kansas City now. So I'm sure he's going to be going to every one of those games, and I'm sure he's going to be getting a lot of autographs, and he's going to be one of those Astros fans that's going to be over there at Kauffman Stadium. And to their credit, it's actually a beautiful ballpark out there. And they have a great baseball history over there, but right now they're just not a great ball club, and they're one of those teams that when they're good, but they can't re-sign the talent because they're not one of those big markets, and so they just can't re-sign their players. And so that's something that the Astros have kind of showed that they're not. They're a team that can go ahead and they've lost George Springer, they lost Carlos Correa, but they seem to have the way to kind of replenish from the farm system. And the Royals, they've traded away a lot of their players, while the Astros have built from within. So like Sammy said, I've been in Kansas City for a Royals game, and it's beautiful. I've driven by it. I'm in fact, in July, I'm going up there to play golf with my friend, and we're actually going up to Nebraska to play golf. So it's a beautiful area up there. So yeah, definitely a good place to go. But the baseball, it just ain't so good right now. And we're going to look at the matchups. We're going to look at what's going on with the Angels. The Angels have lost 8 games in a row. Say what? And for some reason, the Yankees own Shohei Ohtani. So this is something that Shohei Ohtani is one of the best players in baseball, but for some reason, the Yankees just take care of business. And I saw today that the Angels believe that the Yankees, that he may have been tipping his pitches today. And so before today's game, I believe he had a 94.5 ERA against the Yankees, and now I'm sure that went up as well. So, but this is the matchup versus the Kansas City Royals, just like the one the Astros just had versus the A's. This is one where you got to get at least 2 of 3 games, if not a sweep. I mean, you can't look for a sweep. You could just hope for a sweep, but you can't look for a sweep. This team is definitely one that you can it's easy to look past them. Okay, well, it's just the Royals. Let's just go ahead and kind of look past them, who we play next. But this is still a big league ball club. They have some good players, and I know they've got a couple young prospects that are coming up pretty soon. Bobby Witt Jr., he still hasn't really lived up to his full potential, but once this kid gets going all the way, we'll see what happens. But this is going to be an interesting matchup, and the Royals always seem to rise up to the occasion once they play the Astros. And so in this series, in game 1, let's go and start off in game 1. It's going to be, where is it? let me turn off. Yeah, I had my YouTube in background and I heard my own voice. That's not good. But it's going to be Jose Urquidy versus Brady Singer. And Urquidy he's kind of been up and down so far this season. But when he's good, he's good. When he's bad, he's just very hittable and he likes to throw strikes. And as a manager, that's a great thing. But at the same time, it can be very frustrating because he's very hittable. And so, if you look at the matchups, nobody's really faced him except for Carlos Santana. Carlos Santana has 3 bats against Urquidy and with a home run and 3 RBIs. That's because he's never faced the Royals before. This would be the first time he's faced the Royals before. And Brady Singer is 2-0 with the 2.49 ERA with 26 strikeouts. And he has some history against the Astros. He's actually 0-1 with a 2.31 ERA with 12 strikeouts and 11 2/3 innings in 2 starts in his career. So this is not the first time that Singer has faced the Astros. He hasn't got a victory, but he has pitched well against the Astros. So who has had any success against Singer? Somebody that the Astros desperately need to get going is Yuli Gurriel. And I just read a article with my buddy Cody over at the Crawfish Boxes, and he was saying that what's the difference between Yuli between this year and last year is his chase percentage has gone up. He's most of everything is the same, but he's not hitting the breaking pitches, and his chase percentage has gone up. So that's kind of what's going on. Last year, his chase rate was 59th percentile. This year, his chase rate is the 18th percentile, and he's not hitting. He's just not hitting the breaking pitches, and so stuff that he was hitting last year, where he had the batting title, he's just not doing that. So if you want to go read the full article, I don't want to spoil everything because Cody did a great job. Go check it out on the Crawfish Boxes. So, so Yuli Gurriel has in 5 at bats, he has 2 hits, and then the rest of the Astros don't really have a lot of success. I'm guessing that some of the Chas McCormick in 3 bats has 1 hit, and then you have Jason Castro in 4 bats has 1 hit. I'm guessing that some of the departed Astros are ones that had some success against him, but at the same time, he has a 2.31 ERA against the Astros. So, so that's a situation that this was an up and coming prospect, and he's showing that he does belong. I mean, I know he's pitched for a couple seasons now. He's not a prospect anymore, but this was a kid when he was coming up. A lot of people were talking about him, and he was going to be the ace of the Royal staff for many years to come. And he is showing that right now. And if you look at the numbers, they don't lie. And so hopefully the Astros can sing him to an early exit to the locker room or something like that. But so that was game 1. If you're asking me a prediction, I think that the Astros this would be a close game. I think this would be maybe a 4-3 type victory for the Astros in this game. I think Urquidy's going to give up maybe two runs or something, and then maybe a bullpen comes in and gives up 1 run. And then Singer gives up maybe 3 runs or 2 runs, and bullpen comes in and gives up 2 runs or something like that. So I think you're going to see a 4-3 victory in this game. But I think somebody that struggled against Singer is Alvarez in 6 at-bats. He's hitless, and I guess it's only 2 at-bats, so I'm not going to really criticize him too much. But Michael Brantley is hitless and 2 at-bats, so I'm not going to they haven't faced him much, so I'm not going to really criticize them too much. He's still a young pitcher. And so game 1, I'm going to go ahead and say the Astros win this one 4-3. So I'm not going to say I'm a official predictor of MLB baseball games, but you know what? If I was, it would be something put on my LinkedIn page. With spring in air, it's time of renewal and growth, personally and professional. As your small business grows, LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier to find people you want to talk to faster and free. So if you want to hire somebody, create a job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then add your job to the purple hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile and spread the word that you're hiring so your network can help you find the right people to hire. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on the candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to hire and go and hire that person. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn jobs number one in delivering quality hires versus the leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know every week that 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your jobs for free at linkedin.com/lockedonmlb. That's linkedin.com/lockedonmlb to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. And thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen. Why don't you check out the Locked On Now podcast? They do a great job of putting all the nows together of the reactions across baseball. 15 minutes, reactions, whether a team wins or loses. It's a great podcast. Go check out the Locked On Now podcast. So let's see what we're saying. So our genius says that he likes the Royals City Connect jersey, but he likes the Astros ones more. I think you're a little bit biased there, but yeah, I think a lot of people across baseball like the Astros one. So what else we got? Sammy said he likes that. Jake Myers. I know a lot of people, before we get back to the series, a lot of people want ask about Jake Myers. He is making his AAA debut on tomorrow, which is Saturday. No, Friday. I'm getting lost because I'm a teacher, but he will make his debut on Friday, and he will play, I believe he'll play center field, or maybe he'll be DH. I don't know if they really said, but he's going to join the Sugarland Skeeters officially tomorrow. And also Taylor Jones will also join the AAA Sugarland Skeet. I said Skeeters again. The Space Cowboys. Sorry. And their 20-day rehab window will end on June 22nd, which means that they'll either get called up to the Astros or they'll get sent down to AAA, option down AAA. So I think that Jake Myers will have now 20 days to show with the Sugarland Space Cowboys, I said it right this time, what he can do. And so a lot of people want to know, okay, well, what happens? You have Jose Siri. He can be great defensively. He can give you some spark with the offense. And then you have Chas McCormick. He's pretty good at defense, but he can give you at times really great offense. We saw him kind of carry the Astros at times this past week. So who would they send you down? And I believe that they have 20 days to really decide here, but I think Siri would be the one that goes down. And I think that Siri is somebody that they'll look at possibly, if there's another injury down the road, but also he's definitely somebody to look at for a playoff roster because of his speed and everything like that. But I think that they see a center field of Chas McCormick and Jake Myers, and Siri is kind of at the door knocking. So Siri can open Dusty Baker's eyes over the next 20 days, but Jake Myers, they're going to give him a chance to be the guy. So Siri has 20 days to just show, light the world on fire and say, hey, I'm the guy. I can do it, Dusty. Put me in, coach. Put me in, coach. But I just love Siri's, just his passion, just what he can do. And I kind of wish he could get a chance, but you can't keep everybody. Dubon can play center field. We saw him play center field the other day. And so he can play good center field. So you don't really need, 4 center fielders. So something's got to give. I know Dubon can also play second base and shortstop, but still, you don't need that many center fielders. So I think that Siri will be the odd man out. And speaking about the minor leaguers, Jeff Bagwell is in Fayetteville, and he's working with the hitters. And he's been there for the last few days, according to Astros Future. And he'll be heading to the Asheville Tourist pretty soon. And he's working with the Astros prospects, just working with them, I guess with their batting and everything. So isn't that pretty cool that you have a Hall of Famer that's working with these low A and like these minor leaguers at the low levels? Isn't that just pretty cool? Like somebody that's already in the Hall of Fame is working with you. It makes me just want to go up there and say, hey, I'm a minor leaguer. Come help me with my swing. It sucks, by the way. But yeah, so Sammy says, should the Astros sign Robinson Cano? And he says, I'm totally kidding. No, the Astros do not. I think he's already been through 2 teams this year. And the Padres just released him. I believe the Mets had him before, or the Mariners had him before. I forgot who had him before, but I believe he's already been through 2 teams already. The Astros will not take a chance on this guy. This guy is probably washed up. And so I don't see a place for him on this roster. They have Debon, they have Diaz. Diaz is not lighting the world on fire, but he's also not doing that bad. And I know I already kind of mentioned this earlier, but the Angels have lost 8 games in a row. Now the Angels, after being one of the best teams in baseball, guess what their record is? It's 27-25. They are 2 games above 500. As much hype as there was around that team to start the season, they are 2 games above 500. 2 games above 500. Wow. That's just crazy that that's happened. So let's get back to the Royal series before we get to I don't want to bash the Angels too much, but will that team ever give Mike Trout the playoffs? I mean, I know it's still early in the season. It's too early to really, really panic about Yuli Gurriel, but geez, get Mike Trout to the playoffs. That's all we want. We want to see Mike Trout in playoffs, not over the Astros. Don't get me wrong. I want the Astros to be first in AL West, but we want to see Mike Trout in the playoffs because what could this dude do? So in game 2, it's going to be June 4th. It's going to be at 3:10 starts. It's going to be Luis Garcia versus TBD. I think that was supposed to be Zach Greinke, but because he was put on IL, they don't know who's going to be starting that game. So we'll see what happens, who's going to be starting there. But this is Luis Garcia has faced the Royals before. In 2 games, he is 1-0 with a 2.31 ERA. He has 10 strikeouts in 11 2/3 innings pitched. Similar to Singer, almost similar stats, just 2 less strikeouts, and he does have a victory. So if you look at who's had some success against Garcia, it's Benintendi. I'm pretty sure that's probably with his time with the Red Sox. Maybe it was with the Royals. And then he has 2 hits and 5 at-bats. Then you have Nicky Lopez, who has a home run and 2 hits and 4 at-bats. And then that's about it. You have a couple people with 1 like Hunter Dozier has 1 hit and 5 at-bats. And then you have Whit Merrifield with 1 hit and 5 at-bats. So the Royals have not had a lot of success against him, and Luis Garcia overall is 3-3 with a 3.14 ERA, 51 strikeouts on the season. He's going to cha his way to victory in this game, depending on who the Royals decide to pitch in this game. It's not going to be Zach Greinke. He is on the IL, and as much as I would have liked, I think everybody would like to face Zach Greinke, not necessarily because we're like, oh yeah, he sucks, we could have crushed him. I think it's just been cool to face Zach Greinke because he was on our team for the past 2 seasons, so it's just been cool to face him and just see his antics on the other side. So I think this game is going to be a little bit more, depending on who they start, the Royals start. I think this one be a little bit more lopsided, maybe a let's say 6-1 victory for the Astros. And I know I'm going a little bold here, but 6-1. I think that you're going to see Alvarez with maybe a home run, Pena with a home run in that game or something. And I really, really want Yuli to break out of it because this team is doing good, but just imagine if Yuli and Bregman start hitting, how good can this lineup be? And Wesley, I see your question. I'll get back to you in a second, but let me get through this the rest of the series. So, and by the way, TBD has not faced the Astros before, but I hear he has a great breaking pitch. So Framber Valdez is going to face Jonathan Heasley in the Sunday game. And Framber Valdez is 5-2 with a 2.57 ERA with 50 strikeouts on the season. Jonathan Heasley is 0-2 with a 4.66 ERA with 10 strikeouts. Heasley has not faced the Astros before, so this is another first look. Valdez has faced him, and unfortunately, in one start and 3 games, I guess he came in relief 2 times. He is 0-1 with a 6.75 ERA. He's only struck out 6 batters in 10 2/3 innings pitched. So if you look at this, it's just not great numbers. But Valdez, maybe that was when it was sucky Valdez. Maybe this is the better Valdez. So I don't know if this is. I don't know. I didn't look to see when he's faced them. Maybe that was pre when he figured it out or something. But I think that this is a better one. And the one who's had the most success against Valdez is Benintendi. He's had 2 hits and 4 at-bats. And the one who's crushed him was Whit Merrifield with 1 home run. He's batting .571 with 4 RBIs. So, So those are guys you got to look out for. But otherwise, I guess Emmanuel Rivera has 1 hit and 3 at-bats. But the rest of them, it's not much. I mean, a hit there. So I think a lot of the Royals have been traded or maybe not there anymore. Salvador Perez, I don't know why I had trouble saying that, but he's 0-for-3 against Valdez. So we'll see what happens in this matchup. But this is kind of the I think Valdez is a good pitcher, so I think this is going to be a close game. I don't know. This is Heasley's a right-handed pitcher, so I'm thinking this one's going to be a 4-2 victory for the Astros. So I do think the Astros are going to sweep this. Do I know that for a fact? No, but I'm just predicting that that's going to happen here, and I'm predicting that at some point this season, the Astros are going to have to bring up Hunter Brown because you can't. This guy's building up his innings. And speaking of building up, let's talk about Built Bar. We've been asked, and Built Bar delivered. Built Bar granola bars are here. Built granola bars come in 3 unbelievable flavors: chocolate peanut butter, chocolate coconut, and white chocolate berry. Want to try all 3 flavors? You get a mixed box at built.com right now. They are so different from bars and the puffs. Built granola bars are loaded with granola. It's the perfect combination of crunch and chewiness. But just like bars and puff, these babies are packed with protein and covered in 100% real chocolate. With 150 calories, 15 grams of protein, and only 15 grams of sugar, Built granola bars will change your world. Built has cracked the code to better granola. They're the perfectly healthy snack to pack in your lunch, take on the road, or eat as a snack. And they're made with collagen protein, which your body absorbs more efficiently and provides a ton of healthy benefits. Go to Built.com to get Built granola bars now. Go to Built.com, use the promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. Alrighty. So I'm going to go ahead. Kevin said he saw me at the last home game. Was I at the last home game? Maybe I was. I was at one of the home games last week. It was a Wednesday game, I believe. And then let's see. All right. So Wesley says, come time for a trade deadline, do you see the Astros making a big move? Yes, I see them going out depending on what happens at the center field position. How good is Jake Myers when he comes up? Is he the Jake Myers he was before the injury where he was lighting up the world? Yeah, and how good is Chaz McCormick? How good is all that? You can never have enough starters. So I can see them possibly going out and getting a starter, depending on the health of Lance McCullers, depending on Jake Odorizzi, and depending on what's going on with Hunter Brown. Hunter Brown is a guy that the Astros don't really know what to do with right now. He is too good for AAA right now. And this is something that that he knows, and this is what Mickey Story, the Space Cowboy manager, said. I feel that he could be as dominant as a number of major league pitchers. His time will come, surely, but he's in a place right now where he seems like he's playing a league that's below his ability. So basically, he's saying that if he's pitching at AAA, he should be pitching at quadruple A. And unfortunately, there's just not a spot right now for the Astros. If you look at the Astros, let me pull this up. If you look at their bullpen, they have the best ERA. And is this baseball? Yeah, in baseball. Their bullpen, believe it or not, can you believe this? After all that crap we dealt with last year, they have the best ERA in baseball at 2.43. Believe it or not, the Tigers have the second best ERA at 2.83. The Yankees have the third best at 3.11. Then the Guardians have 3.15. So the Astros somehow, with all the move that James Click did, when I say all the moves, the one move that they really did to bring in Hector Neris over the offseason, and then you brought in Phil Maton last year, and then you brought in Rafael Montero. This bullpen has become a very dominant bullpen. So if you're looking at that looks pretty good. But if you look at the overall team ERA, they have the best ERA as a team, 2.84. The Dodgers have the second best at 2.87. Then the Yankees, 2.91. Then there's a big gap. The Rays jump all the way up to 3.27. What about WHIP? Oh, glad you asked. The Astros are not quite as high. The Yankees have a 1.08. The Dodgers have a 110. Then the Rays have a 111. And then the Astros have a 112. So the reason why I bring the WHIP, actually, let's talk about walks. The Astros are actually, they are fifth. Wait, let me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They are seventh with the fewest walks in baseball. The reason why I bring this up is this is something that Hunter Brown is struggling with a little bit. He is good. He can get the strikeouts all he wants, but he is struggling with the command, and that's what the Astros sent him back. He had a great spring training, but if you're looking at what he needs to work on, it's the control. And in his last start on Wednesday, he cruised through the first time through the lineup, and then he kind of hit a wall, and he struggled with through the second time, and he was out pretty soon. So if you're looking at is he ready for the big leagues? Probably. And this is what, where is it? And this is what James Click had to say. Where is it? You never want a guy to die on the vine, so to speak. When do you get to that point? It's more art than science. It's a lot of conversation with your staff and your players, making sure of that. And he also said, so I think somebody asked him, well, what about bringing him up as a reliever? And he says, I don't think there's a preponderance of evidence that will have a massive effect on his prospect status and ability to help us as a starter in the future if they bring him up as a reliever. But the fact of the matter is, right now, we view him as a starting pitching prospect, and long-term, we think that's where his role is going to be. Our pitching staff so far at the big league level has been doing a tremendous job. It puts us in a really good position as an organization to be able to make decisions when we want to, not necessarily when we need to. So what he's saying is we don't need to use Hunter Brown. When they want to use Hunter Brown is when they're going to bring him up. So the question is, what are you going to do? If you're looking at what he did, he walked 4 batters on Wednesday, bringing up his season total to 21 and 44 innings. Before Wednesday's outing, he has not walked 4 batters in an outing since April 6th, and he had not issued a free pass in his previous 11 frames. So basically, he needs to work on his command. And Story said he knew his execution needs to be better. Fastball command in particular need to be better. He's the type of guy that all you have to do is tell him what he needs to do. The kid's going to put in all the work. The things you can't teach kids or tell them to get better with is how to compete, and he does all that. So basically, what they're saying is he can fix this. And it's just a matter of time for him to just take care of this and just do what he needs to do do. Sorry, I'm just seeing this stuff on the side. So anyway. So sorry, I didn't see all this on the side. But anyway, so I think that they're going to go with Brown when they need to. But I don't. Are you going to could you bring him up as maybe a long-term reliever? I mean, not long-term, but a long guy in the bullpen? Sure. But the Astros view him as a starter. Let's say something happens to one of our starters. Then Hunter Brown is next guy up. They're going to have to add him to the 40-man roster anyway at some point this next offseason. So he's going to come up during September. He's going to help the team during September. Probably so is Corey Lee. So why not get some use from him at that time? So he's already getting close to 100 innings already. So we'll see what happens. He threw 51 innings last year. So yes, he likes the strikeouts and everything, but the Astros know what they're doing, and we'll see what happens. But so anyway, I think the Astros are going to do really good against the Royals, but what you can't do is you can't look past them. And I see a lot of people talking about Ryan Presley. Somebody asked about Pedro Leon. Do you think Pedro Leon will get a chance? I see Brett in here. I don't think Pedro Leon will get a chance this year. I think they're waiting for him to. I think that once they stopped having him play a lot of shortstop, he started hitting the ball a little bit better. But this dude can crush. Maybe with Michael Brantley not back next year, there'll be a spot for him in the outfield. So we'll see what happens. But definitely something. I believe that today was Lou Gehrig Day. I believe that. So here's a fun fact about Lou Gehrig. In 14 full seasons, he had over 150 RBIs in 7 of them. That's crazy. Can you imagine a player having that many RBIs? So that's crazy. So we got David suggesting a trade, and a lot of people say that they don't trust Presley. I'm not worried about Presley. Presley is going to get the job done. He may not have the stuff for some reason this year, but I'm not worried about him long term. So, guys, I believe that's all I got for this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast. I'm excited to see what Jake Myers is going to do. I'm excited to see what Taylor Jones is going to do, because Taylor Jones needs to get ready, because I don't think that they're going to pull the plug on Yuli Gurriel, but can your Urquidy do long relief? Yes, but when Urquidy is on, he could be one of the best pitchers in baseball. So it's just like catching the fire when it's hot. And so I just don't see them putting him in the bullpen. But yeah, I'd see what you're saying. At some point, you're going to have Jake Odorizzi come back. At some point, hopefully, you're going to have Lance McCullers come back. So you're going to have to make some room, and you want to get Hunter Brown in at some point, because he's just sitting there on the vine saying, "Ooh, I want my chance. I want my chance." So we'll see what happens. But that's all we got for this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast. Brett, thank you for joining in on the chat and keeping an eye on that. And hopefully we'll see. We'll be back on Sunday talking about a sweep of the Royals, if not at least 2 of 3. And Make sure you go check out Soli over at the Locked On MLB podcast. He does a great job of breaking everything down of across baseball. And I'm sure he has something to say about the Angels losing 8 games in a row and the Astros now having a 6.5 game lead in the AL West. And with the way the season started, can you believe that, guys? Just to let that sink in, how the Astros were almost in last place, if not last place, and now they have a 6.5 game lead in the AL West. Just let that sink in. My name is Eric Huysman. Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Astros podcast. Thank you for making us your first listen. And go Stros, and we'll see you on Sunday.